This country must be restructured. We must go back to true federalism. Nigeria was a negotiated country. Nigeria is not one country. Nigeria is a country of many nations. How can one ethnic group dominate everybody? It will not happen. It will not happen again. This year, God will deliver this country. Nigeria is a fraud. Our constitution is a fraud. Very unfair, very unkind, no equity. The whole of us will be under one neck. And if it is an ethnic right that wants progress, it will be a different thing. Repressing us. Now, that evil called Nigeria system will change. Amen. They want to come and carry me. Let them come and carry me. Even they will be saying it.
See, this video is very interesting. In fact, I promise you, very interesting. Watch the video to the end. Nigeria is not one. Everybody, if everybody don't they wake up, people are opening their eyes, waking up, and Nigeria cannot be together. Even pastors. That's why I like this pastor. Anyway, this video for some time now though. But listen to the end of the video, you see the latest video. Yeah, Nigeria is not one. All the south, everybody's safe. So take your time, watch to the end, and follow this page for more. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You understand? So we cannot, one Nigeria will not help us. I like this my interview. Very interesting. What you are going to listen to in this video. I promise you, very interesting. Watch it to the end. I promise you. So one Nigeria will not help us. It's not helping. It's not going to work until somebody will not sit at Abuja and dictate for other regions. Whether you like it or not, you have to follow because federal government make order. Whether your region, it works for your region or not, it doesn't matter. So please.
You know, as I said at the beginning of Mass, our country is being torn apart by the incapacity to reconcile. Only 6 years after our independence, in 1966, some military officers thought that the politicians were not getting things right and staged a coup. That coup set a ball rolling that eventually culminated in the worst massacre and genocide in modern African history, the Nigeria-Biafran War. Attempts at discussion, mediation failed, mainly because one of the major partners in mediation was an interested party, the British. When you are calling those who sell arms, when you are calling those who steal your minerals when you are fighting, when you are calling those who want your population to be reduced to half to come and mediate between you and your brother because you are quarreling, you can imagine the type of advice he will give you. But that is not the worst. The worst is that since after that war, no attempt has been made at reconciliation. Let us talk this thing over. My brother and friend, the Bishop of Sokoto, Matthew Hassan Kuka, has kept saying, until Nigerians sit down and discuss the injustices done to the Easterners during the war and ask for pardon for the unjust murder, there will be no peace. And let me warn those going for Biafra, we will break away, but we will carry our heart with us. Even if we break away, that does not solve the problem. Let us talk these things over. Autonomous community. Autonomous community. Then the gay Jew make or make a way into autonomous community about. Didn't they say, no be happy or land will. I am no one angry with you. No be happy as I book. Heaven no mamma, Kiri, no be happy. I'm going to have Jericho. I am again with your neighbor. I'm sick away. Nenigu. I make away your own way in the just heck and doesn't have no balako. That does not solve the problem. We can no longer count the number of autonomous communities in Igbo land. And yet we have been unable even to unite and get one extra state to balance the geopolitical zones in Nigeria. Because divided, we cannot stand. Why can't we sit down? Reconciliation takes time. It needs patience. It requires love. After the war, they told us there will be reconstruction, reconciliation, and rehabilitation. As not one of those things was done. And because we have not been able to talk these things over, the injury that was done to a people is handed from one generation to another generation. Scrapping history from our curriculum in the secondary schools will not solve the problem. The problem will be solved by, let us sit down and talk these things over. And if we can't handle it, we are going to Mali to reconcile them. Whom have we invited to come and help us reconcile ourselves? In our arrogance, we don't even accept we have any problem. If it doesn't work, invite some people who are more or less neutral, who have nothing to gain by your quarrel or by your reconciliation, except that love is reigning. Invite them to help you look at this.
We can't change Nigeria except we change the National Assembly. This evil law called Constitution, this is jihadist constitution. This is oligarchy constitution. This is a constitution that put the whole of the country under one tribe. This constitution cannot allow to go, and it cannot change until you change the men at the National Assembly. The men at the National Assembly will not change until you select new people that will replace them. So the church must wake up, and not only church, patriotic Nigerians must wake up. This country must be restructured. We must go back to true federalism. Nigeria was a negotiated country. Nigeria is not one country. Nigeria is a country of many nations. How can one ethnic group dominate everybody? It will not happen. It will not happen again. This year, God will deliver this country. Nigeria is a fraud. Our constitution is a fraud. Very unfair, very unkind, no equity. The whole of us will be under one neck. And if it is an ethnic right that want progress, it will be a different thing. Repressing us. Now, that evil called Nigeria system will change. Amen. They want to come and carry me. Let them come and carry me. Even there, I will be saying it. You are in the majority, but you are asleep. Minority dominating over you. Changing the law. Terrible law. Those laws must be changed. Change your prayer mode. If you are in our church, we don't pray God save Nigeria. We just pray one country. Nigeria is not one nation. That's the first law we told ourselves. One nation. This country is not one nation. This country is many nations tied together by force. We must agree how to be one. We are not saying we are going to divide, but let everyone rule himself at his own pace, and let's meet at the center. Let's be like the United States of America. New York and New Jersey, they are side by side. They have different law, different policemen, different constitution. That's what it should be. Not somebody will dictate in Abuja, and that is all of us must do. Slow down our education, slow down our economy, slow down our military, make Nigeria unsafe. This civil system, die today! Nigeria will not be free until we send away these evil politicians. They must be replaced, and our constitution must be rewritten.
So I'd like to start the conversation by just asking you that if you look at where it is today, where we are today as a country, do you think that we are headed to the future, the great future that all of us actually believe is the destiny of Nigeria?
Well, to answer that question, I would ask a rhetorical question. Have we defined where we should be heading? Do we have any compass? And to answer those questions, let me take the smallest units of a society, which is husband and wife. By the time two people want to get married, there's an officiating minister who asks, will you agree to take this person to be your lawful wedded wife, and will you agree to take this person to be lawful wedded husband, to care for it, and each one must affirm, must say yes, and the other must say yes. That becomes the contract. Yes. That becomes their constitution. And they know where they are heading. They know the rules, and they have subscribed to those rules. My question is, have we got a constitution for Nigeria to which we have all subscribed? And my answer is no.
What about the Nigerian constitution?
I will tell you exactly why I say no. We were amalgamated in 1914. We were ruled by British Parliament laws and so on. But in 1953, I'm going to make this very as brief as I possibly can. In 1953, Anthony now removed the motion that we should now be independent. The law said they were not ready. And I won't go into the details of what happened, but so many things happened in between from that time on, including even the Kano riots that we heard about. But eventually, in 1970, we arrived at the decision. By the time 1960, yes, we arrived at the decision Now, in that process, Northern Cameroons that was amalgamated with us left. So anybody could have left.
That's true.
So the people that are now blaming amalgamation for what's happening to us are wrong. I say no.
Because they had the option.
We all took a decision that we will be a country, and whoever had opportunity, everybody given opportunity to leave or whatever, and so on. And those who stayed on agreed they'll stay on under certain rules and conditions and terms that they all agreed to. That's the critical point. So the 1960 Constitution was written by Nigerians for Nigerians and been operated by Nigerians.
I see your point, sir.
We modified it in 1963 to take care of our Republican status, but then that was aborted, totally thrown away in 1966 when there was a coup. Since then, we have been governed by a set of coded military edicts that we call the Constitution. That's not a Constitution that we subscribe to. When we were subscribing to this Constitution, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe has suggested we should forget all our differences. The Sardauna said, no, we must remember our differences and respect them. Awolowo came with, look, the only thing that can save a pluralistic society like Nigeria is a true federal system. We agreed and subscribed to it. We don't have that anymore. What we have now is an authoritarian system that is... The command is not federal at all. So what we should look at is how do we get back to a set of conditions and terms that will be agreeable to all Nigerians. If we don't do that, we are wasting time. Let me tell you a very quick story.
Okay, sir.
About 2 weeks ago, there was a story about a young girl, because she's not old enough to vote or be voted for. She was only 14.
Okay.
Who poisoned the groom and the guests at her wedding, because she was being forced into a union that she did not subscribe to. What that suggests is that nobody on this earth will agree to remain in a union if they have not subscribed to the rules and conditions and terms of staying together. So we must not continue to force Nigerians to stay together without, first of all, allowing them to spell out the terms and conditions under which they want to stay together. So, for me, what is wrong, and we have not therefore given us a direction, is the Constitution.
Okay.
We do not have a Nigerian constitution by Nigerians, and the system must change. That system, I've been saying this repeatedly. Chief Adebanjo has been saying it repeatedly. So has Chief Edwin Clark has been saying it repeatedly. And in fact, Professor Ango Abdullah has been saying, if Ango went so far as to say that we should go back to that parliamentary system, which is what we had all agreed to in 1960. Recently, you have you have people like Pastor Tunde Bakare preaching it all the time.
Right.
You have recently Chief Emeka Anyaoku saying, even if you bring angels to come and operate this system, they'll fail. That's a very profound statement to make. And of late, we have younger ones like...
You agree, by the way?
Oh, totally, of course. You have younger ones like Dele Farotimi and the president of the Arewa Youth Consultative Forum, Shetima Yerima, saying the same thing. We must change the system. If we agree to change the system, we'll have give ourselves a direction and we'll move forward.
Interesting, and I like I like to take off, because it then gives us the opportunity to dimension the issue. The first thing I would like to ask you is, just so we understand your perspective very well. So, do you agree with Chief Emeka Anyaoku's Patriots Club that made the president that, look, what we need to do is to have a constituent assembly and then is to have a referendum, in terms of the process, how to get there?
It's one process, and I think it's perhaps the only process. So I agree with that. But the ultimate is what I say we must have. That is a new constitution for Nigeria, made by Nigerians for Nigerians. If we don't have that, we've lost it.
Okay. So the 1999 constitution, which which we have been using up until now, your view is that it is not helpful because it was handed over to us by the military, and that there are provisions in it that are inimical to federal structure, or is the practice of it? I just want to be clear. I want to get your mind
not just because
stated on this.
I will state it very clearly. Not just because it was handed over, but it was made by the military and given to us. That's not our constitution. Even if the edict that brought it out said, this thing which is an addendum to this edict can be considered as Nigeria's constitution. So it is an addendum to an edict. So, and the provisions are wrong because they moved away totally from federalism Totally, completely. That's why I'm rather surprised, because you mentioned the fact that, yes, I was governor at the same time as the president, which is correct.
Yes.
And he's a man that is very particular about federalism.
Yes.
So I'm rather surprised that till now we have not started the move to get back to a true federal arrangement. All the things that we should have in a federal system, they're totally absent from what we're saying now.
For instance?
For instance, we don't have a proper electoral process that will make sure that people who go there as leaders or representing the people, so the people have lost the sovereignty. We don't have a situation in which the subnational governments are coordinated with the federal government. I should elaborate on that because many people don't understand this.
Please do.
In a federal system, one government should not be subordinate to the other. They should be coordinates. I'll tell you a few things that happened while I was governor.
Okay.
The federal government decided they want to have new working hours. They decided 7:30 to 3:30 will be the working hours. You will remember, a lot of governors went in, nobody in the office, so they locked people out. Waste of time. What I did was to go in there and try to discover why is this so. And I find that most of those men and women that were absent were dropping their children at school at 8 o'clock. So how do you expect them to be at work by 7:30? Okay, so I decided, I did a referendum, and in Akwa Ibom while I was there, the working hours were 8:30 to 4:30, not 7:30 to 3:30. Because I did not see why federal government should sit in Abuja and dictate to me what time was my office. Today, we have a situation in which Kaduna has 4 working days a week. And in Akwa Ibom, thank God, our governor, I think once a month, every Friday, people, that particular Friday, people go to the farm. But at the time I did this, it was, like I've committed the worst crime. Second point was, even in the matter of minimum wage, federal government negotiated with labor, decided a minimum wage. So I called my labor people and said, do you really believe that the federal government should dictate to us what salaries to pay here?
In the States?
Well, sir, and I said, I don't intend to pay that salary. They said, sir, but if you don't pay, I said, you know what I'm planning to do? To pay 1,000 more than the federal government is paying. Then the attitude changed. I said, but I did that just to prove to the government that you, in a federal agreement, you cannot dictate to a federating unit what they should do about salaries, about working hours, and so on. I tell you another interesting story. 2 more, in fact, I will tell you. One was the issue of power.
Okay.
I decided I want to give the Akwa Ibom State power. The president said, no, the federal government is providing power for the country. I said, no, I want to give Akwa Ibom State government power. In the end, I succeeded in building that power station. The president came, and as well, he was happy about what I was doing. He commissioned the power station, but went back to Abuja and brought a law that if you generate, cannot distribute. So, spend Akwa Ibom money I cannot distribute to Akwa Ibom. I have to put it in the national grid that's failing all the time.
Oh, wow.
Last thing I will tell you about.
So that was how that ended, basically.
That's how it ended. So Akwa Ibom, like everybody, doesn't have 24-hour constant power, which was my dream for Akwa Ibom. And if I had had it, I think several other states would have followed suit. And interestingly enough, please, let me just, only this morning I was reading the paper and I heard where our respected Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said, we should decentralize power generation, and this. I thank God for her. But that's what I was trying to do. But because of the faulty non-federal arrangement that we have, I was stopped. It should not happen in the federal arrangement.
Nigeria is potentially a first world country. If you fragment it and you allow the people to have free expression to their talents and capacities, they will flourish in their little enclaves, whether that's Ijebu Nation, Ijesha Nation, Bendel Nation, Anambra Nation. No matter how many you fragment this space into, they will find ways to survive somewhat. But this is all I know. Nigeria, this was what I was born into. Like I said, in the cauldron of a civil war. This is what I have bettered my children into. Whatever you are going to do with this country, you must always understand that it is the people, not the construct. Nigeria itself might not be worth saving, but the victims are worth saving. Even if you are going to break Nigeria up, if you do not find a way to unite it first behind that purpose of breaking it up, they would have to fight to break it up. The civil war they are fighting in Sudan, have they finished fighting? The one that they have been fighting in, what's that country called now? Only one ethnicity, Somalia. Have they finished fighting? It's not about the Nigerian state. It's about the people. Whether Nigeria stays one or whether it's fragmented does not matter to me. I would prefer to see a Nigeria that is restructured to allow the people the right to self-determination, and let the people then decide whether they want to stay together as one or whether they want to go their separate ways.